Hello, welcome to Hard Refresh, the official podcast from State of Social 2025. What are we doing here, you might ask? We are polishing off the old standard issue State of Social crystal ball and taking a deep look into the next 25 years of digital marketing. We're examining the technologies, the trends, the cultural shifts, maybe even the controversies that are going to shape this industry and in turn society at large. My name is Andrés López-Varela, call me ALV, all my mates do. And today we are recording live on the traditional lands of the Whadjuk Noongar people, live at State of Social 2025. And in this episode, we're going to be doing a hard refresh on agencies. The agency model has been declared dead more times than we care to count, but it still persists, reshaped, rebranded and reinvented. But looking ahead 25 years, what does the future hold for agencies in a marketing landscape dominated by larger in-house teams, AI tools and project-based partnerships? Will smaller agencies carve out a bigger place by being faster and more flexible? Or will consolidation win out with holding groups dominating? We're going to nut out the skills, structures, and even survival techniques as agencies fight to stay indispensable in a world where clients are spoiled for choice more than ever. All right, I'm super happy to be joined by three very enthusiastic minds on this topic. Freddy Hollow, the Director of Sales and Marketing at GolfBox, Australia's largest online golf retailer. Freddie, welcome.
Thank you.
Hannah Muirhead, the founding strategy partner at Chapter, a strategic and creative agency. Welcome, Hannah. Are you ready for this?
Yes, I'm ready.
Yes, good. You look ready. I saw when you came in the room.
Pumped.
And Missy Burrell, the Director of Social at Mainstay Media, a full-service communications agency. Great to have you here, Missy.
Great to be here.
You guys were near the tail end of day one. How's it been so far?
It's been amazing.
Yeah, it's been great. Really valuable sessions this morning and
Excellent.
this afternoon.
The
I
biggest
heard there was an
frustration.
excellent sports marketing talk earlier.
Yeah.
lunchtime.
Yeah, by a guy called Freddie?
Could have been. It could have been.
Yeah.
Should
Okay, definitely check it out.
Check
on
out the
replay.
online, yeah.
Yeah, the biggest frustration is not being able to see it all.
That's true.
Split up rooms.
We were actually talking
Heartbreaking.
about there. We want the online access as well.
That's it. Good. That's excellent. All right, everyone ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Time to do a hard refresh. So I said it in my intro, but I think it bears repeating. Every couple of years, someone says, "Oh, the agencies are dead. You know, this is gone. The model's done." But here we are, still talking about that. We're dedicating a whole episode to them. Freddie, if you had to describe the state of agencies right now in 2025 in one sentence, what would it be? And is that life affirming or is it about life support?
In one sentence, I would say agencies, for me, are helpful when I'm thinking of specialization.
Yeah, fair enough. Hannah?
That's music to my ears from Freddie, who's a
Fits into
client. I think, the agency scene has been told it's dead for years. The Mad Men era, sadly, is long gone, as much as I'd love to still lie on the couch and drink whiskey all day. Those days are long behind us.
Well, you can do that, but that's technically unemployment, I think. You know?
Maybe that's a good future. I think what's different this time is the AI revolution that has come in at pace and come in a significant way in terms of how it's transforming work and transforming what clients use agencies for and transforming how fast things happen in an agency landscape. And so I don't think it's about whether agencies will survive. I think there will always be space for creative problem solving and strategic brand thinking. I think the question more is about what shape they are going to be at the end of this transformation.
Yeah. We're going to get into it. We're going to break it down. But first, Missy, what would your sentence be? Life affirming or life support?
I think it really depends on the size and the type of agency before I would commit to one or the other.
Yep.
I think life support for agencies with big price tags and little return. But I think for smaller agencies that may specialise and offer that kind of level of return on investment, I think it's life affirming.
Yeah, great. Excellent. Okay, so regardless of that, I mean, bit of a mixed bag, right? But not so dire,
Not
right?
enough of a mixed bag.
Not enough of a mixed bag, yeah. Well, I mean, there's
Yeah,
only
we put
three.
it on a similar page. Yeah.
The table's only so big, right? It is true, though, that more brands are building serious in-house teams, whether they're for specific functions like their own content studios or like data science teams, or, they're kind of like being a little bit more horizontal, if you like. That is certainly happening. We heard today from Tyler O'Day, who replaced the social media agency for Empire State Building with a fully fledged in-house team. Hannah, from your perspective, what are agencies going to be able to offer in the next 5 years that in-house teams won't be able to recreate?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fascinating, this shift to in-house, and I actually looked up some numbers because I'm a strategy nerd.
Yeah, good.
So I think there was an MI3, it came out of IHAC actually, which is the in-house agency group. And they said that by their numbers, the in-housing has gone up. 78% of marketers in Australia have an in-housing function, some kind of in-housing function, and that's gone up 5% in the last 3 years or something. So it's massive and it's on the rise.
That feels low, not to interrupt.
78%.
Ooh, gone up 5% in the last 3 years.
Yeah,
Feels low to me.
maybe it was a year. I can't remember exactly the numbers, but as it stands, we're at 78%.
Yeah.
And I actually think it's really good. I've worked with lots of brands that have in-house teams. I really enjoy working with in-house teams because they really fundamentally understand the brand. They're really good at, brand guardianship and policing it, so everything's on tone and got the right distinctive brand assets, and it's been, worked really hard from a consistency point of view. I think what I've yet to see in an in-house team, and this isn't to say they don't exist, but is that, out of the box creative thinking and that really high level strategic and creative expertise that you tend to get from a creative agency. And that's probably because, they can't necessarily afford them. So I think we're seeing the rise of fractional models, which I think are perfect for this. You need a strategic and creative, senior level thinker maybe once every 3 to 5 years. So there's no point employing one because you really only need to wheel out that skill set once every 3 years, and then you can hand over to the in-house team with a little bit of, oversight and checking in every now and then. But they shouldn't have to pay, a couple of $100,000 a year for these people because they just don't need them all the time. But when they do, that's when they should get in those skill sets.
Yes. So is it access to the right people at the right time that agencies can offer that in-house teams can't recreate?
Yeah, I think so. And I think to Missy's point, that's about nimbleness.
Yeah.
Agility.
I like nimble better. Nimble feels more fun. I don't like agility. I like nimble. Feels more me. I think that's about being lean enough and I hate to say it, but sort of senior enough and ugly enough and been around the block enough that you can come in and do it across lots of different categories. And that's kind of, I think, I defer to Freddy on this, but I think that's kind of what clients want these days, is that leadership.
Yeah, so this is a really interesting point. I completely agree on a lot of that.
However,
no, I've got a
There's
question
a butt coming
with these, and we'll dive into all of that. Just a question as I thought then, with these new marketing teams, 78% in-house is high, and so I was interested. I thought the increase might have been quicker. Do you think that these in-house teams who have not been exposed to that, what the old agency model, where they've actually dealt with extremely high-level creative people, extremely high-level strategic planners that you get in these bigger agencies, if they haven't been exposed to that, are they going to know what they're missing out on?
Yeah, and how do they learn, right? I think that's the massive gap here, is how do we train the next generation to come up and have those skills? I certainly learned just by walking the floor of a big agency and being exposed to multiple categories, 20, 30, 50 different categories in the last 20 years. I think that's what gives you the breadth to be able to come in and do that big creative problem solving thinking, because you're pulling from adjacent businesses and adjacent ideas. And if you're in-house, you kind of get, I don't know, I've never been in-house.
I've got to wonder also too, if when you're working with big agencies, you have a better sense of trust for them, whereas your in-house team could be screaming with creative ideas and everything else, but they're in-house and they kind of get a little bit dismissed. Whereas when you engage an agency, you kind of put a lot of trust in their expertise and their experience that
because
perhaps...
you're paying for a delivery, you sign the contract.
Exactly. Like I'm paying good money for this, whereas,
that's interesting.
when you're in-house, it's a little bit of, But what you say about the skills
you
gap...
eat tuna for lunch, so
exactly.
There's a lot of tuna eating in an agency, though.
It's the path of least resistance, so I'm kind of not interested. But it's interesting what you say about there's kind of this knowledge gap when you talk about AI changing the landscape, particularly in the bigger agencies that want to outsource a lot of their, tasks and skills to AI to reduce headcount or whatever else. But there is going to be this massive skills gap, because as you said, time in the accounts and time in the weeds is what builds you up into a tastemaker or a strategist. Like you need to have that really deep time kind of in field, that if we're outsourcing all of these things to AI, when the, pre-AI generation no longer
shuffle off the mortal coil.
Shuffle off. Who is the person that is going to be making those editorial decisions? That's a good idea, that's a bad idea. Who's going to be guiding it, because people don't have that in-field experience that they need.
That's super interesting. I hadn't thought of that aspect of bigger agencies using AI in that way, and sort of losing the essence of why big agencies or specialized agencies are in the past, why big agencies in the past have been good at what they do. Now if they're outsourcing that to AI, I hadn't thought of that part of the agencies losing it in that sense.
They lose their expertise, right?
Yeah. I think
that's a risk.
We're all, I think, similar ages, so we've been around this new model where perhaps it's leaning towards that slightly fragmented, specialised model, and the old agency. I mean, we've both worked old agency style. So, I mean, I think for me, client side now, having worked ex-agency, the great thing is that I know the benefits of both, and I know what my in-house team can do, and I know what can be got from outsourcing teams. And I'm still coming back to like the new age of marketers. They're not going to know what they don't know, what their experience, because they haven't experienced that level of strategic or creative input that you can't get. Like some of the creative minds, you can't get one of those really, really good creative minds or really, really good strategic minds in-house, because it's such a specialised.
Because you can't afford them.
You can't afford that. Like, and you, there's also not a space there in which they can hone their craft. Like you don't just have a creative team that just sits down the back and makes lots of noise who drinks the whiskey while the account directors do the work. And but there's genius going on there. There's like lightning in a bottle that you can't get from an in-house team. And I think from my perspective, being client side now, having been ex-agency, both full service and digital and social and everything in between, is that we do have the in-house capabilities. We do have our own studio. I do have my own content creators, but I also know that my Meta and my Google Ads, they're specific agency. TikTok's a different agency. Creative is a different agency. And I know when to pull on those levers when I need them. Then as much as I'm giving my in-house team, I know when we need a lever from outside. And you worry that with the opportunity in-house, is the work going to suffer because they're not going to know when to pull on those levers?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the interesting point there as well is like you're talking about in-housing a lot of that production rollout stuff, and that is traditionally where particularly creative agencies have made a lot of their money, right? And you look at what's happened with profit margins have like absolutely contracted in the creative agency, and big holding companies are sort of on a downward trajectory as a result of that. And so it's about, and partly, I think as an industry we've done a shocking job of supporting our own value proposition and the value that we bring. Terrible job.
What, you're saying marketers are the worst at marketing?
It breaks my heart. And
or are you saying that the large agencies have taken all the dollars
not
and
just bad
burnt a lot
at positioning,
of clients?
shocking at pricing, like all the P's, hopeless.
All the P's.
And so, with this absolute massive contraction in profit margin, it just means we have, like, they're just not going to be viable businesses anymore. And so something has to give.
Yeah. I definitely feel like that fractional approach, you talk about bringing in that level of expertise, that kind of fractional approach with a freelance base of specialists definitely seems more viable. I think it's when you have a big budget, you can afford big budget agency and big budget activity. But when you have a smaller budget, you're going to be more strategic with getting those kind of fractional experts and those freelance teams so you can have those big ideas.
I mean, the truth is that the big budgets are getting smaller, like they're still comparatively big, but the cap's being chopped off them. So actually maybe for what was once the big spenders, like actually the fractional model becomes the reality, given that is what they can afford, really,
There's just so many skill sets these days. It's really hard, even for the large businesses, to have all of those skill sets. Invariably, they're getting freelancers anyway. And just...
You go.
It's back to your point that I think some of those larger agencies have probably, I don't want to sound bitter, ex-agency guy, but they've gouged clients, right? Like I think we've all been in that agency side where we know you've built something and you're like, this doesn't sit quite right with me. And that fractional model makes a lot of sense. You can see the ROI very specifically on certain
Or worse,
things.
I think worse for agencies, build to the hour and not actually like have left money on the table in terms of the value that they're adding, right? So it's, you think about the guys who came up with, I don't know, Compare the Market, right? An idea that came out of VCCP in the UK has gone on to make that the 4th biggest insurance brand in the world, I think. And you can bet they charged, 30 hours creative concepting at £150 an hour, whatever, and that was that. And you think about how much a meerkat ridiculous idea has made for that business.
Maybe they should have taken some royalties or some trailer.
Yeah, exactly.
commission.
And that's what I'm really interested in is how as
That's-
an industry we start to charge. Do we start doing IP? Do we start, how music does it or how photographers do it? Or
So I actually want to take
That's
us
really
on
interesting.
I actually want to take us on a little ride into the future on a little thought experiment on that exact topic, right? So let's pretend that it's like 2035. We finally got the hoverboards we've been promised for ages. And you're building an agency team, right? Tell me, Missy, what skills are non-negotiable? Like, are we talking...
Communication.
Okay. Are we talking...
I'm just jumping in there with
That's the
communication.
non-negotiable one.
That's the non-negotiable,
Okay,
and it's
all
just
right.
ridiculous because often in communication agencies, as with the marketers, they're the worst
They're
at
the worst.
communicating.
Yeah.
So that's communicating, between agency and client,
Yep.
but also communicating with audiences,
audience, yeah.
communicating needs and wants and realities, and actually just having clear and honest communication needs to happen.
And if communication at that point is made up of a few sub-skills, if you like, are we talking about technical fluency? Are we talking about, what Hannah said about taste? Are we talking about creative
I think
bravery?
taste.
Are we talking about prompt engineering? And then also part B, how do we price? How do we price in a way that A, reflects what the market will actually pay and not scoff at, but B, communicates the value that we provide in that kind of specialization of the right skills at the right time.
I definitely think taste is going to be a huge part of it. I kind of doubt prompt engineering in 2035 is really going to be a thing because with large language models, prompt engineering is just going to be a matter of asking for what you want and refining it. I don't think there will be much of an art to it in the future.
That's a shame I've just paid for a $99 prompt engineering course online. So, damn.
I'm sorry to be the bearer of bad news.
Missy, thanks. Fair?
Yeah.
What do you think, Hannah?
I would love to see brands and agencies figure out a way to negotiate around IP licensing. So, that old apocryphal story about the person who came up with the Nike logo and did it in, got paid $200 for it. And I think, there's ways now with blockchain technology, and this is something I've actually been exploring because I've got a blockchain client, and I'd love to launch this. So if anyone's listening wants to invest in this idea, or I'm happy to open source the idea because I have no idea how to do it because I'm not a tech person. But, there's no reason we couldn't put digital tags on our brand assets, and it means every time they show up, the agency takes a little clip. And I think this is actually going to become I think this is a really good idea, not just for agencies in terms of retaining the value that they create, but also brands themselves. So if anyone saw that Liquid Death AI ad that was made, that was beautiful, an amazing piece of creative, and I think it wasn't even made by the Liquid Death team, but suddenly their brand is gone and they have no brand control over it. So I think for these big brands, controlling that is going to become harder and harder and harder. So I'm all for this future where we are blockchaining our creative IP and our distinctive assets, and it means the agency is getting fairly remunerated for it. It means the brands are able to control it, and I just think it's a fairer future. And if it is working, then and it's working as it should, it means the agency's value and reward is aligned with the work that they've done, and the client should be happy to pay it because it's working for them, it's working for both sides of the
I think it'll also play a big role in like authenticity and trust. I think obviously in an AI landscape, it's really hard to know what and who to trust. And if you can kind of implement that kind of digital watermark, on your content and your branding, then hopefully it avoids those kind of awkward situations where there's a bit of misinformation and fake news and fake branding, and
sometimes that can be too late. But then,
true,
but once the cat's out of the bag, but then how does like UGC, EGC content fit into that?
Well, I don't know yet. It's in its early days.
No, but it's
I'm here to iterate.
It's a really interesting thing. Like where I'm kind of seeing is you've got these agencies who are kind of like you've got sports people these days like Roger Federer. Okay, he's got percentage in On, and David Beckham's got a percentage in this, and everyone's got a percentage. And you've got these agencies who are getting percentages of things because of the work they've done.
Well,
and
they
it's
should.
Sometimes, which they should, right?
Yeah.
Like it should be performance based, and then it.
Yeah,
You know,
it's always been
it's
really
almost
hard.
kind of
I think
reminding me
it's
of
always
that.
been
Oh,
really
if we don't
hard.
get you 100 leads, you don't pay. Like
Yeah,
it's
it's
some
always
of
been
those
just
like
scary.
clickbaity type things.
I mean, that's
It's a
awful.
weird. Yeah, it's interesting.
But yeah, I think to your point, the UGC thing, I think, could only be supported by that because the brand goes, yeah, that's a really great piece of UGC. In fact, we're going to give it one of our digital tags and we're going to give that guy a bit of money because he's done a good job for us. Again, fair, like you've almost got these people working for you.
Again, if you
I
want to
don't know,
invest,
it's a
Hannah Muirhead.
Yeah, I'm like,
From chapter.
Who's in, guys?
here's my number. Here's my number.
Who's in?
We're all in. I think we're all here.
I've got
at the
no
start,
idea
so
how
we're-
to do it.
We're just introducing our new brand.
So I mean, what you're describing sounds like not exactly, but it sounds like inspired by the YouTube model, right? Where you monetize content and you get a clip of the ticket and they send you a check for, I don't know, $84.
Or music, Spotify,
Or
right?
Spotify, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and at the end of the month you get an $84 check or something like that. So is this another example of the creator world dominating the traditional marketing world?
Well, I think just learning from adjacent industries, which is what we need to do to survive, right?
Yeah.
You know, like I've
Yeah.
worked on big campaigns that have had, $5 million paid for the music rights for a song, and the next year that cost, and they wanted to keep it because it was a really powerful, distinctive asset. But guess what? Next year it went up to $7 million. Next year it went up to $10 million, and they're going, shit, this song's really working for us. Okay, we're happy to pay it.
Yeah.
Like, you think about how much value we create as an industry for our clients, and we just give it away for nicks almost. We can pay ourselves that month, but then that's gone. It's created a huge amount of value for that business, and they say see it, especially now that we don't have, the agency of retainer model is disappearing, and it's just the relationships are project based largely.
I want to talk a little bit about smaller agencies. There's two smaller agency representatives here. There's no one from IPG or anything like that.
Shame. I wish they were here. Love to hear what they have
Rip
to
them to
say.
shreds. Would we?
Yeah, I was going to say,
Genuinely interested.
it may not be a safe space for them, right?
I feel like they're getting shanked in the corner. Yeah. It's just there like,
I think it was a wise decision not to come.
Hannah and Missy are just jumping them.
So like it is true that smaller agencies, can punch above their weight with the agility, the flexibility, but also the kind of approach to, I guess, culture making and the way that, their work is a little bit more holistic sometimes, sometimes out of necessity, right? But it's also true that holding companies have scale and resources and they can play the long game and they can do a 4% margin when a tiny agency can't afford that. Let's say it's still 2035, right? And Freddie, let's say you're still, marketing manager at GolfBox, maybe, got a few pay rises and a few more grey hairs. But are you more
I'm over
interested?
50.
I mean, are you
a
more?
horrible image.
Are you more interested at that point in talking to the indies or talking to the big shops, and why?
I would still be more interested in talking to indies, and I think that's where I am now. The interesting thing is that who I'm talking to now, in terms of if we're going to use the indies as a word, they are coming from that big corporate background.
Yeah.
So Hannah, your business partner Dean, I worked with him previously at a big corporate, and the ability for creatives in that environment to be able to, and Dean's a phenomenal creative, to sit in a creative environment and just kind of work on that craft. Can indies do that in 2035? If they had are they able to do that, sit in that craft when it is a bit of a dog eat dog? You don't have that retainer model. You are working project to project. I don't know what the state of it would be in 2035 if these specialised creatives have had the time to work on their craft.
Well, it'll come back
when
to
they're
money,
working
won't
in
it? It'll come back to whether or not agencies or clients are willing to pay for that.
Yeah.
That's where it comes down to. So it's like we either figure out our business model and that allows for that space, which means clients will still buy it, or it's, wrap it up.
To Missy's point, it's that communication piece. Like the big agency style of, okay, you need this creative, you need this planner, you need this. That was what we all knew. And now as a smaller creative agency or a smaller social agency or media agency, when you're busy just trying to get the next paychecks in, how are you going to communicate yourself so you can communicate what you do as a business and why it's so different to an in-house team, I think is really, really important. And I think it's super necessary because you can't get all of that insight from from a creative team in-house, I don't think. Unless you're Nike, yeah, sure, you've got creatives just sitting around. But like, or planners or social people. So I think it's the communication piece that you mentioned is why that's so interesting, is more than ever going to communicate what you do better than.
And I think
than
work
ever.
together as well. Like I think we're heading to a point where specialisation is the only way forward.
Only viable path.
Because it's the only profitable way forward. But that means, I'm really interested and hopefully good at long-term brand platforms and creative campaigns. You're really good at social and PR. So we're going to need to work together and that's fine. And again, to your communication point, it's how do we do that, recognising we're not going to step on each other's toes. We're not in a fist fight for the client's respect.
Yeah.
Ideally, the client is leading that and sort of orchestrating that and going, I want you because you're good at that bit. I want you because you're good at that bit. We're not trying to compete. So, we've all been in that room where we've been forced into the
Agency
awkward,
village.
awkward
partnership with
someone. You're like,
I definitely
looking
think
forward to working with you.
I definitely think collaboration is probably, I know it's an overused word, but I think it's going to be more important than ever because there is going to have to be some kind of hybrid model, because I think in-house is really great for bread and butter day to day. As you said, they have that brand relationship, they have that brand guardianship. But when you need someone who is not in to look from the outside, that's when you get some fresh takes and fresh perspectives and a bit of that creativity as well. It's kind of good for those moments to kind of come in and get that insight. And I also feel like that collaboration extends to AI. As you mentioned, we've got AI tools coming. Collaborating with AI, but always having, I guess, everything be human-led. So we're collaborating with each other between kind of in-house and agency teams. We're collaborating with the AI, but there's always someone at the end of the day who's kind of pulling the strings, who's got the handle on what's going on, and making sure like kind of the brand and the objective is at the core of everything that you're doing.
Haven't we? I love the sound of that, but it sounds like we've recreated the holding company model without
the holding
without the holding company and the efficiencies that come with it.
What efficiencies?
Yeah, I actually agree.
Sorry,
let's be clear. Pricing efficiencies for the client mainly.
I would. Yeah,
Again,
I don't
disagree.
see that.
Yeah,
I see a lot of really wasted budgets in the large agency model. I see a lack of focus on client retention and lifetime value of relationships. And I see a lot of focus on winning new business to replace the old business you're constantly losing.
And just
Boom.
time and time.
Pick up the microphone. Pick up the microphone. Bam.
And it takes so long. It just takes so long in big agencies.
Oh, and it's,
to get
and like
through.
when you talk about agility, it's like, we throw it around like smaller agencies are more agile, but it's like reasonable. Large agencies, like it's unreasonable, the amount of time things take. And when you are a very small band of people and you're creative, you can turn things around very quickly, very well, and on a very small budget.
it's interesting. I'm seeing similar collaborative models between SaaS platforms and agencies in a way. Like there's a lot of, from the e-commerce background, there's a lot of sort of tech platforms which are working really closely with agencies to put on conferences, put on events and put on this sort of collaborative approach. But it's more of a way for the tech companies to come through an agency side.
Because nobody trusts them.
That's the reason why.
Yeah,
but not... that's a massive...
right?
Yeah. But like there's an interesting way where you make the good point, whereas if you're joining together, are you just seen as one of these big conglomerates? And maybe that comes down to the communication piece as well. Is like
it's humanity, right? It's partnership, and you go in open and honest and with the best intentions. We have a saying at Chapter which is "Let the brand lead the way," which means it's not about my ego or your ego, or to be fair, even the
clients.
the CMO's ego. It's about what's right for this brand, and if we're all focused on that, then you shouldn't end in a fight or long, dramas or people. Heckling.
So what you're saying is that big agencies are led by ego and they're...
No, I think it's... No, that's not what I'm saying.
Hello to all our fans in the agency.
No, I don't think that's it at all. I just think it's about... I think it's about checking... I think it's actually about checking our egos at the door. And I think, we all work in this business where we have to spruik ourselves all the time. And so it's easy to kind of pump yourselves up and you go into a pitch and you come out going, I'm a winner. But, what a massively inflated sense of self that is, and it's not real. And at the end of the day, it's not really that interesting. It's more about whether the work that we're doing is working.
I think that's where, only teasing, but that does come down to communication. If you're with smaller agencies, you are actually building proper relationships rather than sort of with a bigger agency. Oftentimes you're building relationships with one or two key stakeholders, and then you've got different creative teams, and sometimes different creative teams are working on different aspects of your project with different planners. And I think when you are at that smaller agency side, you're only working with a couple of people, and that's where you're getting that communication. You're getting that proper one-to-one relationship building, and as a client, that feels like a better way to.
And you're getting accountability. I think when the larger the agency, the more hands that are touching your brand, the kind of more things can get passed around without actually moving forward. And I think that, as you said, budgets are getting smaller. We don't really have the funds to just dilly-dally, pretty much. And that's where small agencies can communicate openly, honestly. And if your small agency is not kind of producing things, you notice it a lot quicker.
I was
and there's more to work on, right?
Yeah.
There's more channels and more platforms than ever before. So even if your budgets are staying the same, you're still splitting that across more channels. So how does one large team able to be an expert at all those things is hard.
I would argue they're not. It's just everyone's probably tapping into the same skilled people. They're just tapping into them in different ways. So you're usually getting the same skill set and the same expertise on projects. It's just they're engaged in different ways.
Yeah, that's true. That's fair, yeah. I mean, this has been great and really spicy, but I want to ask you to get even spicier for the refresh round.
Should I take my jacket off?
Yeah. Rob, pull his sleeves up.
Is this where it gets really interesting?
That's it. These questions are wide open, no holds barred. Give us your hottest hot takes. Let's start, and I think I know where I'm going to land with this one. In 2050, will brands still exist as they do today, or will we have hit refresh on that whole idea?
Who knows? I think anyone who says that they know what's going to happen in 2050 are talking out their who-diddly.
And to be fair, this section is for you to talk out of your who-diddly, so if you feel like you want to, that's also okay.
Yeah, I guess true, but I think, from my perspective, I just think keeping an open mind and trying to kind of track each day as it comes is hard enough at the moment with the changing landscape. I feel like, even with COVID, AI aside, we had no idea where that was going or what was happening or the impacts and the lasting impacts of that. And so it's mind-boggling for me to try and think about 2050 because 2035 was hard enough.
Yeah.
I mean, brands are different now to 50 years ago, right?
Yep.
There's still brands around that have been around 50 years, and they're just different to what they are now, right? And it's never an immediate change. It's always gradual.
Slow, yeah.
My hot take is so different to your guys.
We'll hit it.
Let's hear it.
And I'm a brand strategist. So I think we have to start with what's the definition of a brand, right? To answer that question.
Yes, please.
And so brands, if you look at the neuroscience, a brand is just a memory, right?
Yep.
So brands actually don't live with us in our brand book as much as we'd like to. Again, let's park our egos. Brands live in the minds of people. It's not what we say it is, it's what they say it is. That's not going away. And at the end of the day, a brand is how many people choose you when they enter the category that you're selling from. That's it. So I think that will absolutely still exist. If people are still buying in 2050.
Yeah.
If the Armageddon comes, I'm not so sure.
Sure. If we've got bigger problems like
you're still buying from someone, right?
I'm still buying from someone.
Whether or not you're buying Tim Tams and
pitchfork
Kleenex or you're buying a
that
gas mask or a thing.
Yeah, I don't
you're
know.
still buying from someone.
But I still, I want my gas mask to be from the right company.
Yeah,
so
from a brand,
I think, and I'm going to go, well, that's the one I trust because that's what my neuroscience.
We'll all be buying Apple gas masks probably,
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
So
eye gas mask.
I absolutely think brands will still exist. I actually think they're probably going to get a bit more powerful. And I'd love to have sat in on that talk before about AI-powered or search-powered AI or whatever it was, voice, I can't remember. But I would have liked to sit on that because, if I'm using my agentic AI to buy my groceries, I'm saying, make sure you get the Bega peanut butter. Oh, yeah, my husband likes this brand of tomato sauce.
Yeah, Western Star butter or all
that
stuff. Yeah.
Like, how annoyed do we get when we get our shopping delivered and they've substituted? It's so annoying.
God. All right, I want to ask you, what's one marketing buzzword you'd refresh straight into the garbage?
I'm sick of fucking hearing about AI, that's for sure.
Fair enough.
Digital media, because it's all digital.
Yeah.
I use this one all the time, but I feel like optimize.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Shocker.
God. Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah. I feel like, aren't we always trying to do that? Like, I feel like,
Isn't that just cost of entry?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I'm really ashamed to say that I use the term suboptimal a lot. And I really...
No, I think that's different.
That's a good riff on
all right. That's a
optimize.
good-
I don't mind it.
Okay.
We'll keep that.
All right, thank you. Oh my God, how life affirming. Sorry to say this, but if AI got a chance to refresh your job description, what would it throw out? What would it say? You don't need to do that anymore.
Oh, weirdly, I actually asked AI this last night.
Oh, there you go.
You were so prepared.
I had no idea
oh my
that
God,
this question
stats
was coming,
and
but I was like, I'm in such a weird, intimate chat with this GPT right now.
Yeah.
And it said, do you know what I can never do? I will never be able to convince them that this idea is right. I need you and your humanity to do that.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow, deep.
Did you give it a thumbs up on that?
I was like, let's go back to the topic. This is getting weird.
Yeah. I would say humour. I would say it's going to take a while for AI to kind of crack humour and nuance
Okay,
and kind of
it's going to keep
cultural
that in your
moments.
job description then.
Yeah, so
yeah.
I just kind of like, I'm in charge of the funnies.
Yeah,
And I
okay.
don't have to do the reporting anymore.
Yeah, I like
Oh,
that.
how
I like
good's
that.
that?
Yeah.
And I
So
can
like,
see
I'm
that
just here for
you.
the
I can
lulz.
see that for you.
Because one of my bugbears is like, why is everyone using AI to do the fun stuff?
Yeah.
Like the writing
Yeah,
and the creativity. Like, no, I'll do that.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
kind of like,
You
yeah,
don't-
do
Format
the
my-
washing and
Format my Word document.
Yeah.
I hate Word
Do my
formatting.
meal planning.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Build the
absolutely.
PowerPoint deck. I want to do the ideas and write it, and then you build it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really interesting, I think, with all the AI stuff, you're going to start coming up with job titles, similar when social came on board, right? And you had all these social ninjas
Gurus.
and stuff.
Oh,
So you're going to come up with a lot of human-centered marketers and like human-centric marketer, and I'm a human-centric, like, bringing that humanity
I'm
forth.
the
But
human
that's-
tastemaker.
Yeah, but that's what's going to happen, right? Because you are getting
The craft
these
as well.
cookie cutting.
I mean,
Like,
it
I think
helps.
there's something
like
there
that.
where
Yeah.
people are going to start
Yeah.
being human-centered
Fractional
marketers.
humans. Fractional humans would be nice, yeah? Okay, and last one. If you could refresh the internet for the better, get rid of one channel or platform, what would it be?
Oh, Meta.
Yeah, I'm going to
wow.
have to do a hard agree on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not Instagram.
Yeah.
No, I would.
No, I feel like it's
of Meta.
it's got to the point recently. I heard the Deep Work podcast, and he talked about technology that adds and technology that kind of takes away from your life. And I do feel like Meta has gone from connecting friends and families and groups and kind of having wonderful communication and social touch points to it's robbing our time, our energy, it's robbing our young people,
Self-esteem.
our self-esteem, and I don't really know what it's giving anymore.
Yeah.
Would you include TikTok in that?
Well, it's not meta. So.
Yeah.
I know it's not Meta, but it's a
Had to
as
choose one.
I would-
a related platform.
Yeah, I would pretty much say anything. I talk to my kids about brain rot, and they laugh. Like, we're watching brain rot. I'm like, yes, but it is actually rotting your brain. And I think with AI has also shown that we are going to, our brains are stagnating. The more we rely on AI, the less capabilities we have. So I think with our lack of attention spans from social media, teamed with our dependence on AI, our brains are going to turn to mush. And just like we have to exercise these days to stay fit and healthy, we're going to have to learn how to exercise our brains. Otherwise, we're not going down a great path. So
I
And we
guess
have bigger problems to solve, and we need bigger brains.
we
to
do.
solve.
And it's just distracting
Yeah.
and it's dividing. And I just...
Yeah, I guess my grandma was right. Calculators are going to be the end of society as we know it.
You didn't have a calculator in your pocket, did you?
No.
Calculator watch.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's going to be some wild ride for agencies over the next 25 years. I really appreciate the thought experiments that you indulged. Thank you very much. Freddy Hollow, Hannah Muirhead, Missy Burrell. Enjoy the rest of State of Social.
Thank you.
Thank you. Super fun.
Thank you. If you like this refreshing conversation, you're going to love the rest of Hard Refresh. Join me and the smart minds of the State of Social 2025 crew as we get into all the big topics so you know where we're headed in the next 25 years of marketing. All episodes of the show are now live in all your favourite podcast places. And remember what your mum and dad said, sharing is caring. So tell a mate or two if you like what you hear and give us a review to help other people discover the show. Hard Refresh is a co-production of State of Social and Original Audio. It's produced by me, Andrés López-Varela, and Aaron Matthews from Original Audio. Big thanks to Cal McLean for production support and to our executive producer, Meg Coffey. I'm ALV. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you next time when we hit refresh on something new all over again.